Hello, everyone. Welcome to Business Transformation with FBSPL Insurance Edition. On today's episode, we are joined by Michael Malfa, the CEO and co-founder of Boardwalk Insurance. Michael has been part of the insurance industry for over a decade, specializing in commercial property and casualty insurance. He's also a chartered insurance professional with the Insurance Institute of Canada and has participated in various insurtech incubators and accelerators with the goal of revolutionizing the agency model and transaction process. Aside from his professional life, Michael is an avid health enthusiast, always trying to squeeze in a workout whenever possible. He's also a big fan of Formula One. Yeah, don't miss that. He's a big fan of Formula One, rooting for Ferrari by default, but always cheering for an underdog story. When he's not working or working out or watching Formula One, Michael enjoys indulging in cigars, Scotch whiskey, and fine wine, showcasing his appreciation for the finer things in the life. With a young family and a growing business, he finds balancing it all to be like a tightrope, walking a tightrope. Michael is a Libra and doesn't have any favorites, but he has enjoyed movies like Shawshank Redemption, Goodfellas, as well as books such as Atomic Habits and Extreme Ownership. We are excited to have Michael on our show today to discuss his experiences and insights in the insurance industry. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the podcast.
Wow, KB, what an introduction. I wish you could introduce me every time I came onto a podcast. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to join you today.
Same here. So let's roll out. Can you tell us a bit about your background and how you got started in the insurance industry?
Yeah, so I started quite early on in the insurance industry. Actually, right out of college, I jumped into the career, the insurance industry, not by choice. I was pursued by a friend of mine who was in insurance. I don't think any of us planned to get into insurance early on. We all have big dreams and aspirations. Unfortunately, insurance isn't necessarily always at the top of the list.
Right.
But this individual was very persistent, and I turned them down a couple times, but they just kept persisting. And eventually, I decided to give it a try. I tried it out, and my first job in insurance was for Direct Writer. The company was a Fairfax financial company, and they had a really great training program. It was an extensive training program where they would send us off, for 2 weeks at a time, on and off over several months. Anyhow, the training was excellent. And after about a year into the business, I started to gain some traction, and I started taking a real interest in the industry and haven't looked back since then.
Wow. Amazing. So kudos to that friend.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for them, I don't think we'd be sitting here today.
Right. So that's how you started with the industry. But what inspired you to co-found Boardwalk Insurance, and what sets your company apart from the other providers?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess after years and years on the distribution side, I was growing a commercial book of business. I began to encounter this reoccurring problem. There was a reoccurring theme or problem. Customers were looking for better service experience. And as a broker, I didn't really have the tools to deliver that experience. Like, my time and reach was limited. I could only get to so many clients in a day. That was very challenging. So my partner and I started to, research how technology could fill this void. Things really hit home when COVID arose. I'm sure, you experienced as well, like the digital way of doing business had become the new norm. And when previously, it wasn't as heavily adopted, especially in the insurance industry. Some other industries had adopted sooner and taken on more of a technology first approach, but insurance was just starting this digital transformation. So it was still early on. So my co-founder, Andrew, and I, we saw an opportunity. And after really lots of planning, lots of sleepless nights, lots of scribbled on napkins and extended stays at cafes, Starbucks in particular, lots of Starbucks visits, and a G drive full of documents, we decided, to finally pursue it. And we launched Boardwalk Insurance in March of 2021.
Wow. Starbucks might not know that, but a lot of businesses have started from there. And
Yeah, absolutely.
they should have something like a startup corner in their cafes.
It's a great idea, KB. It really fosters that creativity when you're sitting there,
Right.
in that hustle and bustle, a busy environment. You hear that noise, you have a coffee. It is a very creative atmosphere, believe it or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we talked about technology a bit. I understand that insurance started the journey a little late with the tech changes. But how has technology impacted the insurance industry in recent years? And how is Boardwalk Insurance adapting to these changes?
Yeah, so I think like you said, like we mentioned, they were a little bit late to commence their pursuit in the technological space. But insurers, I don't want to discount it. Insurers do realize the importance of technology, and they're trying to embed it in what all their future endeavors and what they're doing now. The issue is they have to transition off very outdated legacy systems. These systems are very deep rooted into their processes and procedures and their training manuals. So you could imagine these large insurers having to uproot all of their processes and training and technology to facilitate these new tools that are coming into the marketplace. Not to mention like all the data that they have. There's policy data, there's client data that's being housed in these legacy systems. So, they have to migrate all that information over to any new SaaS products they're looking at. And that's been happening here in Canada with the implement of Guidewire. A lot of insurers are transitioning over to Guidewire, but it's been a very slow and difficult process for the insurers. We've seen it. We've seen the pain they've been going through. And a lot of the employees are so used to, operating with the traditional technology,
Right.
that, they're not so keen to adapt to these new ways, and they're not adopting the technology or the new processes as well as some of these large insurance companies had hoped. So it's definitely a challenge. Now with Boardwalk, we're a startup. We're a startup. We're small. We're agile. We look for every opportunity to embed technology in what we do to make it better than before. And this philosophy has existed from the beginning since we started, and it's now become part of our culture. All our team is on board with it. They're passionate about technology. They're excited whenever we can leverage it to do things better. And that's essentially, like I said, it's our culture now. It's embedded in everything we do.
Right. Right. And being agile, I think it's the key. If you're not open to changes, if you're not adapting or adopting, I think you're leaving behind. You are no more in the game for a long time.
Yeah, moss doesn't grow on a rolling stone, as they say. And we all can give many examples, not to name any names, but many examples of companies that failed to adopt, and you're right. They got left behind.
Absolutely.
Poor Blockbuster, Brim. It goes on and on.
Yeah, it's a long list. So we gather that, Boardwalk Insurance has a reputation for providing exceptional customer service. Can you tell us a bit more about how your team works with clients to provide customized or personalized solutions, and how do you keep your clients happy in a way?
Yeah. So I guess we're in commercial insurance. So in insurance in general, we're in an industry that sells an intangible product. A product that some customers may never even use. So customer service is sometimes the only variable that we're assessed on. That's the only area we sometimes get the opportunity to wow customers on, or to wow customers on, sorry. So another thing is we're dealing with small to medium-sized business owners. So, they're running a business. Everything is time sensitive. We're always working with deadlines, and having that ability to be accessible and provide prompt service is critical in our business. So I guess your second part of the question was how we're delivering that exceptional experience, KV?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that it's a combination of things. It's a combination of training, processes, and the embedding of technology into it. So we'll try to automate as much as we can on the tech side. We have a very robust CRM system and a back-end policy management system. So we'll use as much as we can of the technology to allow our team to be aware of every single, necessary touch point with a customer. We have reminder systems set up. We have touch points automated with the client. We have checkers going on in the background, checking certain things when a policy's changed or when a client changes. So we use that technology to help us stay ahead of the curve. And then we just leverage, I would say, the human element. Because at the end of the day, we can't lose sight of that. People still want to talk to a human in many cases, and they need, in our industry, they need the advice, the service, and the expertise of someone that understands their business and understands, how to protect their business using products in the marketplace. So we try to really have a nice blend of both, using the technology to enhance our staff to be able to deliver that human element better and more efficiently.
Yeah, I think human element is always the prime requirement, empathy, because I, as a user, I hate IVRs and chatbots. Yeah, because at a certain point, I feel like I need someone who I can talk to, who can understand my problem. And even if the solution is not there, at least I would feel a little satisfied that someone is listening to me. So, human element is always the top priority. So thanks for that. And what advice would you give to other companies looking to improve their customer experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And just, I want to just add to that as well. The back-end process, there's a lot of back-end processes, and I know you're very familiar with this. Those don't necessarily add immediate value to the customer. So we don't want to tie up our staff with a lot of heavy back-end lifting. If we can alleviate that burden from them so they could focus more on those customer touch points and delivering that, that customer relationship experience, that's what we're always trying to do. And then now back to your question. Yeah, the advice I give, that I would give is just make sure you're utilizing, number one, the tools that are available. A lot of the CRMs now have tons of tools for, service tickets, monitoring your SLAs, your service level, agreements. Also, KPIs, we set up KPIs for our service team. So when our service team is being trained, they're aware of our service level agreements, how long it takes to fulfill certain requests, and they're aware of how we're assessing, their performance. There's key performance indicators that we've outlined, and then we use the tools out in the marketplace to assess these, like how long a ticket it takes for an average ticket to be resolved, the triage process, when it gets triaged, how it gets triaged. So again, that comes down to training, processes, manuals, and technology.
Cool. Now let's talk some fun. So what's the most unusual item in your office?
Unusual item. Yeah, there's a couple. Okay, so one of them is pretty funny. We have battle bots in our office.
Oh, wow.
And they're little remote control robots that our staff can control, and they fight with each other. So whenever there's a disagreement, they take it out in the ring. They get their battle bots and they hash it out with their robots.
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's so much fun. And also, I got it on a trip when we were in a trip to New York. There's that large toy store in New York. The name is not coming to me, but they have every single toy you can ever imagine, and it does bring out the big kid in you. We also have a Tibetan gong, like a real Tibetan gong that our sales staff hits when they make a sale. So whenever a sale's made, they hit this gong and the whole office celebrates with it. So that's pretty fun too.
Wow. Oh, we have something similar. So we do not have the gong, but we have those chiming bells.
Oh, nice.
In every workstation or lab. So how we use it is like, after every hour or so of work, we do 2 or 3 minutes of one thing because, we don't want to be monotonous. And the science says that if you're not taking short breaks after 60 minutes, 90 minutes, then you're not as attentive as you should be. So we keep on it can be just relaxing. It can be just singing or whatever. But yeah, we knocked it out the bell and everyone is like having fun at that time. So gong is amazing. I should have it implemented in my sales team. Wow.
Yeah. And I love that idea too. I've read that. You're right. It's proven after 60 or 90 minutes, if you don't take a break, you're not as effective. Even for mental health, it's important. So I'm definitely going to take that one and implement it because, after long days in the office, you do start to burn out. You lose the creative juice after so many hours of just staring at that monitor.
Fantastic. So, yeah. And then we understand you are, into reading and all. So what is the most inspiring book you have ever read? And why did it have such an impact?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Reading, so many years of reading. But if I had to say one, like one that I recall, because I read it very early on, and when you're young and impressionable, and some of these books or these messages from these individuals have such an impact on you. I would say one of them was Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant. It really helped me open my eyes and realize that the world doesn't give us like what we think we deserve. It gives us what we're willing to go out and take. So that book talks about, controlling your mental, emotional, financial, destiny. So it was really interesting. Like it opened up my eyes to taking control of your destiny and not just being, a victim or a product of it. Everyone creates their own destiny.
Right.
And if you don't take action, don't expect results.
Yeah. You're not driving it. You're being driven by it.
Exactly. Cool. And you'll never be as happy when you're being driven by it because, you're at the mercy of all these external variables. When you're in the driver's seat, you control the narrative.
Right. There was something similar regarding the fate and destiny. In Alchemist, I'm not sure if you got a chance to read it, but it says, if you want something desperately, the whole universe conspires to deliver it to you.
What's that called, KB?
The book?
Yeah, the book.
It's Alchemist.
Okay. I'm going to read that. I'll put it on my list.
It's based on it's a fictional story, but with lots of life lessons. Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice. So, my partner's reading The Art of War right now again for the second time. So that's another classic.
Yes.
And he's saying like this, it's still so relevant today, even though it was written, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. I'm not sure. It was written a long time ago. It's still so relative. Yeah, and you're right. Same thing. You can just apply it, related in so many aspects of day-to-day life.
Right. Well, finally, can you share any exciting new developments or upcoming initiatives at Boardwalk Insurance that our listeners should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot in the pipeline. Like what I'm most excited for, I would say, is we have some really cutting edge features coming to our system, our back end system. They're quite large. They're big features, and they're going to double our speed, at least double our speed on customer intake. So it's a combination of features that we're hoping to complete by early to mid Q3, and it's going to allow us to onboard customers a lot more seamlessly, a lot faster, a lot simpler, and essentially, we can ramp up our sales ability by at least 200% if all goes well.
Wow!
Without going into too much details, I could definitely bore you with the details, but once they're live, I'll definitely share them with you, KB. Once the first iteration MVP of it is live, you'll be the first to know.
I'll be on the lookout for that. And this is also exciting. My best wishes. And if in any way we can be of help, please do let us know.
Absolutely. I know it's what you're doing is great, and I'm looking forward to staying in talks with you, KB. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time, and it was fantastic talking to you. I'll share the podcast list, link as soon as it's out, and I enjoyed our conversation today.
Likewise, looking forward to it.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Business Transformation with FBSPL. If you like our content, please leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And if you have any questions on how to scale your insurance business, please let us know via LinkedIn, and I and our team of experts will be more than delighted to answer your questions on air. Well, thank you everyone. Take care, Michael. Cheers.